2, 1. Hey, it's Wild Josh from Geek-Cetera, and I'm joined by Chase and Joa. And tonight we're going to talk about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode number 2, which is entitled The Star-Spangled Man. Now, let's get geeky. So much to say about this episode.
Way better. I liked this episode a lot more than the first episode.
Yeah,
Agreed.
me too.
I'm going to be the fill-in for Ezra tonight. and saying this could have been a movie.
Oh no.
Yeah, it could have been a movie, except for I did have issue. Although I did like this episode better, I just don't understand how they got together. They were separate in the first episode, and then all of a sudden in the second episode they're together, and we just are supposed to act like
it was just a little weird how Bucky just knew straight up where to go to find Sam, especially when Sam was leaving for a mission right that second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I was like, don't we? I don't know. It just felt weird. Don't we get to know how they got together, or how Bucky knew where he was, or
didn't they text each other at the end of the first episode?
Did they? I do not remember that. No.
They might have. I don't recall that sticking out in my mind. But they could have.
It's possible.
I think I don't remember very well either.
Didn't text anyone. Yeah, so well, I don't know. To me, it just felt like there was this gap.
It felt disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah. But I got over it. I was like, okay, we got into it, and it's like, yeah, I guess I don't really need to know. They know each other. We know that. So I guess it's not,
I mean,
super outrageous.
One thing that I think, first of all, I was talking with a coworker about this today. Sebastian Stan is just an amazing pick for Bucky, and I don't know if they ever intended for it to go this far when they had signed him in Captain America, if they had intentions of carrying this on as far as it did. But when he's sitting there in this empty apartment, laying on the floor, watching a new Cap get named, you could tell that he was heartbroken, because Steve Rogers was his friend for 130 something years, saved his life several times, saved him from Hydra, helped him get rehabilitated, was the only person to believe his innocence and believe that he could go back to being James Buchanan Barnes. And they kind of are oh, yep, Steve's gone. Here's a new guy. Look he's amazing too. Even though he hasn't, in Bucky's mind, earned that shield. So, I just thought that funny. The way that Sebastian Stan, just through his facial expressions, without saying anything, could convey that is amazing.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like the main characters, as they are right now, both Bucky and Sam, they both are very flawed. They are not accepting this new Captain America whatsoever. Sam, because he meant to donate that shield to the museum. That was supposed to be it. That was supposed to be end of the line. And Bucky, because Sam gave up the shield. And now somebody else has it. So, they both have something against this new Captain America.
But it's most certainly a bad guy.
I don't think so at this moment. They set him up as a very cool dude. He's a very nice guy, and so far, the only one threatening line he's said is "Stay out of my way," and that was after After Sam and Bucky both disrespected him so heavily.
But they played ominous music, Joey. You don't just give anybody ominous music.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely. But
ominous music is reserved for bad guys.
If he does become a villain, it is not because he had premeditatedly decided I'm going to be evil. It was because the two most important people to the original Captain America basically just said, you are not Captain America. You are not my Captain America. My Captain America is long dead. You shouldn't exist.
So I have a theory on this, and here's my reason why I think you're wrong on the fact that he's not a premeditated bad guy. Or that's fine. I'm not important, Joe. That's just.
Oh, so I'm listening. I'm listening.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Bucky is a. Joe is just completely gone. He's just leaving. He wants nothing to do with this. Bucky is a super soldier. He has the super soldier serum, and on top of that, he has a vibranium arm.
Yeah.
Falcon has this super cool suit that is bullet resistant and has wings and has lots of experience with it. And they're on top of these trucks. First of all, super inconvenient place for a fight scene.
It's always where they fight, though.
And it is because somebody inevitably has to get hit by a sign. Like, comedy gold right there. But these two super soldiers, even though Sam doesn't have the serum, were getting their butts kicked. Regular average military dude and his sidekick show up and kind of, not saying they turn the tides and win the battle, but they hold their own. They still end up losing, and Cap gets thrown off the truck into a car. And I've obviously never been thrown off a truck into a car. That would hurt if you're a normal human. That's the kind of hit that you see Steve Rogers get up and walk away from. Something a super soldier gets up and walks away from after holding their own against other super soldiers. So to think that, he himself does not have some type of super soldier serum, I think is a little naive. And right now we know that all of the bad guys have super soldier serum. Don't know where they got it, don't know who manufactured it, don't know what the negative side effects are going to be, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they kind of had that storyline where they could not get back to the stuff they had for Cap. But I just find it really weird that the government would hide that they're experimenting on another person, or this dude is part of the Flag Smashers, is my bet.
I will say one thing about that. They did, at first, have me there. I thought it was when I saw him throwing the shield, I was like, my first thought was this guy's got super strength.
Mm-hmm.
He's throwing the shield just like Steve Rogers would.
My first thought was that those were doctored videos.
Oh,
or that they're doctored.
Yeah.
But he
That's
did
also
do it
possible.
in the fight, though, didn't he? He threw the shield.
And that's when I jumped to super soldier serum.
But then my next thought was maybe that's just because the shield is vibranium and it's a metal that doesn't exist in real life, and therefore they can kind of play fast and loose with the physics on it.
Yes and no. There are still some restrictions, though, because when you see Cap throw it, that's the speed at which Cap, a super soldier, can fling it and it smashes and comes back to him. I have a hard time believing that just a regular person would be able to compare to superhuman strength.
There's something going on there. I will admit.
And his sidekick seemed a little shady too. Hoskins, I think was his name.
Battlestar? Come on now.
Battlestar, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. He didn't seem like he's on the light side. The new Cap pretends to be doing this for America and everything, but the sidekick didn't say any of that. He was just kind of there. Yeah. And also, since when does Captain America have a sidekick that has a special suit for their own?
It's so hard because I agree. I feel like there's definitely something funny going on with this new Cap, but I like him, and I think that Bucky and Falcon are being complete jerks. So
they're definitely being
the funny thing.
They're being childish.
Yeah,
they are. And here's the thing for me. Is I'm noticing there are two completely different lines of thought with the new Captain America. Mm-hmm. It's either he's evil, he's got the super soldier serum, he's part of the Flag Smashers, or he's just being disrespected too hard and people need to lighten up. It's two completely distinct things, but I can see how either one could lead up to a twist. Mm-hmm. So I find it's good story writing to me when you have no idea what they're planning ahead of time, even though you think you have it down pat.
I like the idea that when we first were told Zemo is going to be in this, we're all kind of thinking that Zemo is the bad guy, but now it seems like they're kind of going to Zemo for help. I know I'm jumping like complete sides of the episode, but in the terms of story writing, like that was kind of a twist I wasn't really expecting, especially this early on. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
But I will say that I believe it was when we did our "What do we want from this show" episode. I did mention that what if the Flag Smashers are actually the good guys, and I believe Ezra tore me apart for that, and I kind of have to go back to that.
I'm going to quasi agree. I don't think good guys go around robbing banks like we saw in the first episode, but they're also not bad guys because what they had were vaccines that they're trying to deliver to people in need. Either that
Right.
or vaccines actually ends up being creates a super soldier serum and they're building an army and they're totally like all the way off the end bad guys. But
And what did the guy say that people are calling them? Robin Hood.
yeah,
Who thinks Robin Hood is the bad guy in Robin Hood?
the sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, only him.
Like
Everyone
the
else-
government.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's funny because I don't think so far this series has any unsympathetic side aside from the government.
yeah. Is that
Like-
who was chasing the Flag Smashers at the end when they pole came down and
Yeah.
was the government? That was the government.
Okay. I just kind of thought of it. I'm going to backtrack for a minute. Another reason why I think Cap is bad, or maybe not bad, but like not fully loyal to the government. There was a person hiding on that shipment that Bucky and Falcon thought was a hostage or like something. And then she very much ended up being Enfys Nest
Yeah.
and started kicking
That's
butt.
why she looked so familiar.
Yeah. I forget the woman who
Aaron.
acts.
Aaron Kelly.
Great casting.
Yeah.
Great casting.
She was great. I liked her role so far. But she was pretending to be a hostage, kind of knowing that somebody was coming. Because if you don't think anybody's watching you, you're not going to pretend to be a hostage in that situation to then all of a sudden turn around and be very much not that. So I feel like they kind of had intel that somebody was coming after them. And I think one of the reasons that, like, the new Cap and Hoskins made a show of saving Bucky and Sam is to try and get on their good side without, ruining the Flag Smashers' mission. I don't know. There seems like there's some kind of inside intel that the Flag Smashers had in that situation because I feel like it was really weird that they're like, oh, there's a hostage, and she was kind of like hiding down in the crate like that, and then as soon as Bucky's there, she's like, oh, no, it's a person.
Yeah,
Like,
how soon did you know he was about to get his butt kicked when she stepped up?
as soon as she
You're like,
smiled, I'm like,
"Uh-oh,
oh
you're in trouble,
boy.
buddy." Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I have to agree. I believe that
Some level of
somehow,
sketch.
yeah, there's stuff going on. I don't know who to trust at this moment. I don't even know if I trust Bucky and Falcon, even though they want you to trust them. This new
I will
captain,
say this.
I think he's got super serum.
I will say this. When it comes to the characters we follow, being Sam and Bucky, it's funny because I know they're the good guys. They're the titular characters, but I don't really like their attitude at all.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a big part of this series is them getting over themselves and accepting that Cap is gone. But at this moment, they're both acting like total jerks
Yeah.
to each other and to others. And it makes it difficult to root for them.
I agree. Oh, and I wanted to talk about something else that we completely haven't talked about, which I personally thought was the coolest part in the entire episode. And that is Isaiah Bradley.
Yep. It was pretty cool.
That was awesome. And I didn't even know, I was like totally like, this guy was around, like, is this real? And I looked,
Mhm.
and sure enough, yes, there was an Isaiah Bradley in Marvels.
Mhm.
He did fight like in World War II. He was awesome. It sounded like he was even before Captain America. Like Isaiah Bradley was like a super soldier, like
Yeah.
trial and
Mhm.
just super strong. And even cooler is something else that I discovered. Now, if you guys think back to WandaVision, although we did not get into the final two
Mhm.
episodes of WandaVision on this channel, um, the children of Wanda and Vision, they are characters in the Marvel that become young
Mhm.
Avengers. It's Wiccan and Speedster.
Looking in
Is that
speed.
Speed? The kid that answers the door
Mhm.
for Isaiah Bradley was Eli Bradley or Elijah Bradley, who is a young Avenger. So
Hmm.
they're like lining all these things up.
Hmm.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
I this is they're definitely setting up for the next generation of the Avengers
Mhm.
already. That's amazing.
yeah. I was like, when I learned that, I'm like, man, this is all like working itself out.
Yeah.
Like, they're slowly behind the scenes with these tiny little characters they're dropping in, introducing us to the next wave of Avengers.
That is cool.
So
I
that
just
was
like
really
that.
cool.
You know, I think I liked Sam's reaction to that when he threw the case and it stuck in the wooden beam,
Yeah,
and it like finally hit him like, oh man,
yeah.
this guy still is a super soldier. So
I don't think that's the last we see of Isaiah Bradley. If it is,
Oh,
I'll be
certainly
very
not.
disappointed. I want to see more of him, and in this series, because I think he could be a
mhm,
really good ally with whoever the good guys are in this. I don't know who.
mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't really decided yet, but and I want to know more of his backstory. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great um addition to like the MCU canon. Is Isaiah Bradley is like, not to get like political here, but as a black
Hmm.
Captain America,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like, who was pushed aside because Captain America
Right.
was the figurehead.
Hmm.
Like, it lines up with human history. You know, the American history tells you all about it. Through your entire school years, it's like, this is what happened in
Yeah. I
this
mean,
country in the past.
I don't think we even need to talk about the past because this episode was very, very hard hitting on
Yes.
cultural or the
Hmm.
very the prevalent climate where even just leaving that house, the police officers with Sam
Yes. Yep.
before they realize, and it's like, and I think you can kind of tell that Sam's annoyed several times that after people find out who he is, they treat him different. He's like, you shouldn't treat me different because I am Falcon. So I think he was that way at the bank, and he was definitely this way with the officers. So, but yeah,
I
this whole episode was very deep into the current climate of racism.
I I
Hmm.
I really think that's something that can be appreciated.
Hmm.
I think that's a pretty
Hmm.
nice way to address it. And,
I just
I
want to
mean,
say,
it's not like it's
yeah,
going to be resolved in this series because it is an issue
yeah.
with the modern world. But
One of the
Yeah.
scenes or jokes that they made, I just want to say to Kyle, hello, I was correct. Um, that is all. No. The scene where Sam is like, wow, you spend like 4 months in Wakanda and suddenly you become White Panther.
Oh yeah.
It's White Wolf,
And it's
actually.
White Wolf. Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah.
Um,
What?
yeah. So
But yeah.
we talked about race and how this episode actually had a lot to do
Hmm.
with race and like nods to
Hmm.
things. And there it was actually that scene where they called him the Black Falcon. Oh, you're the Black Falcon, which
What does that make you?
um,
Yeah.
was kind of
Black Kid.
Hmm.
yeah funny
It was funny.
because it kind of acknowledged too in the fact that like some of the older characters, Falcon was a newer character, so he never had that moniker
Hmm.
of Black Falcon, but some of the older characters in Marvel did, and it was race related, unfortunately. but they're joking about it, saying it's different now. But like Black Panther, Black Lightning, Black Vulcan, like all characters that they put black in front of their name because of their color of their skin, which is not what New Marvel is doing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice and refreshing. Also, everywhere I look, when I look up John Walker and I look up Hoskins, they're good guys. So to diverge them on this path where they're bad guys would be contrary to the comics.
But I want to be right.
So, I mean, it's possible they do because they're smaller characters, but the John Walker that was in the comics that did take over for Captain America was a good guy, and he did have a sidekick who was like his Bucky, and his name was Battlestar. It was Hoskins too. It was originally Hoskins, and then he took up the mantle of or the title of Battlestar. So you could say, well, it's a different Battlestar, but they used the same name Hoskins too. So, and the John Walker too. It's a different Captain America, but they used John Walker as the same name. So it's hard. I think that they could be good guys, even though we want them to be bad guys, or we get these creepy feelings from them.
I don't want them to be bad guys. I think that if they do become bad guys, it won't be because of, as I said earlier, it won't be because that's what they decided they would do. It would be because they got pushed into it. You know, people aren't born evil, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, people aren't really born anything. It's just dependent on their environment that pushes them to be good or evil. So I think that if this version of John Walker's Captain America does become evil, it's going to be because of the way he's been treated as Captain America. Because from what his little backstory that was given at the beginning of the episode, he seems like a relatively good guy, you know? He mentioned like he was humble in the very beginning, like he was like not taking any of the credit, like, oh no, I'm just doing what I believe will be helpful, you know, like he's a nice guy. It's just people are treating him like a jerk.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Another thing that I picked up on, kind of a tiny minor geek thing, is there was the reference to The Hobbit in the book The Hobbit, and Bucky says that he read it
when it came out in
1937 when it came out, which is interesting.
Also, thanks for stealing my last word. Now, Joe stole it last week. You steal it this week.
Sorry.
That's fine.
But, it's interesting because The Hobbit, I may be digging a little too deep and thinking a little too much on this. The Hobbit didn't actually come out and get published in the United States until 1938. So we can, from that, gather that Bucky was actually doing some missions, maybe undercover missions in Europe before he went and fought in World War II, because he would have had to have gotten the book in Europe in 1937, because he wouldn't have been able to get it in the United States in 1937.
Interesting.
So you're saying he read the far superior original edition of the book?
He must have had a first edition,
which I've never read it, so I don't know what I don't know what people consider the superior.
That was just a little geek out, and yeah. So let's talk about the therapist.
Yes, Joe wanted to talk about this therapist. I was really mad. One thing that just, didn't even really matter to the story. They could have just said, why didn't Bucky make another joke about the notebook? I thought it would have been funny. When she took out, the notepad and just set it down on the table, I was ready for, a one-liner or something. Never came.
No.
So, the thing I really want to say about the therapist in this episode, I do like how they, did address the fact that she's not really a great therapist. She wasn't. This wasn't initially her job. Didn't they say she was some kind of military?
Yeah, she was probably a military therapist. Yeah.
So, she's probably used to being, dealing with people who are grizzled war veterans and
PTSD.
PTSD, a lot of that stuff. But at the same time, I feel like the way they portray it could give that like, and this is something that a lot of different TV shows and movies do, I'm sure, where the therapist is very snarky and very like passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I mentioned this last week, but I feel like if they really lean into that hard, it could give a negative impression of, you know, going to therapy and like
it's already given me that because I don't go to therapy. I've never been to therapy, but that does not make me want to go to therapy.
So I have been. And I will tell you, it is nothing like the episode, you know, the movies or the TV shows show. You know, it's a lot calmer atmosphere. There's no passive aggressiveness. It's healing, you know, it's not trying to like batter you down, like get into this routine. You know, it's suggestions how to improve and build yourself back up, you know. And I feel like that's a problem with how the entertainment industry wants to portray therapy. It's like, if they keep doing it in this comedic sense, then it will push people away from the real thing. So I think that's my biggest gripe with this character. I will admit it's funny. You know, it's a good laugh. But it's probably not best for the long run.
I think that's a really good point, that I don't think that a lot of TV shows, because it's a very common trope, every single TV show, the therapist is like the bad guy. Like, and I'm just thinking of like other TV shows where legitimately like, the therapist ends up in prison for malpractice. It's not good, especially in a world where there's more mental, I don't want to say instability, but like more mental challenges. We do not live in an easy world, and people need help more than ever. To kind of put that negative spin on it is not the greatest thought out.
I will say the closest the entertainment industry has been to the real thing from what I have seen is Star Trek: The Next Generation with Deanna Troi. So if you need a good example, that's the one you go to.
Not this one.
Maybe not for comedy purposes, but you know, Deanna Troi's not very funny most of the time.
I wonder, so I remember when we were talking about when the trailer came out for this show, and they showed us the therapist scene with Sam and Bucky, and it's like, now, James, what about Sam annoys you? And don't say something childish. And I said in the trailer video, I'm like, they're in couples counseling. It very much felt like couples counseling. I wonder if we'll have to end up back there, because the way that Bucky left it was kind of like, I'm done with you, not just for now, but forever. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think by the end of this, they'll be buddies.
Oh, they definitely will be. And I think Falcon will probably end up with the shield. But I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It's Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not Falcon sans the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, true. But it's also not called Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Sam stays as Falcon. I don't think he ever becomes Captain America.
Yeah, I agree.
So what? I think they actually released like a toy, like a action figure of Sam as Captain America, like his outfit.
Really?
So yeah. So I think at the end of the series,
maybe at the very end,
probably accidentally. I think at the very end of the series, he will be the next Captain America. Which
is he gonna get super?
I don't know. That's the thing. Well, I don't think that's the intent.
He could though, because clearly the Flag Smashers have some. They gave it to all of those people. Like, it's not even like it's a limited supply. They seem to just give it out to anybody.
Yeah, if you want it, you can have it.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though.
It's going to turn into a different series, though. They're going to change the name of it. Yep.
About Falcon, Sam becoming Captain America. I will say I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, don't get me wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really cool. Like Sam as Captain America. That would be awesome. But at the same time, I find Falcon as a concept cooler. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I would totally want a wingsuit that was bulletproof.
I mean, to me, I'm a frisbee guy, so giant metal frisbee kind of seems pretty cool. So
combined with super strength
and
healing. But
nah, I just want the frisbee.
I would say true though.
Literally, like hanging on my wall, I just have spare frisbees. So
I think that I don't know. I feel like if they do make Sam Captain America, they need to give him like a twist to it to make him still somewhat Falcon. Like give him the flight suit still, but then give him the moniker of Captain America. Like,
I think they could.
I think that would be the best of both worlds. Like, I think that's how I would want to see it, because that would just be like the cool factor of him being, flying all the time, and then the other cool factor of him being Captain America. Like, I think that's how it needs to happen if they do end up making Captain America in the end, if he ends up changing his mind.
I'm expecting at some point over the next... How many episodes do we have? Do we only have 4 more episodes? Is this only 6?
Yeah, it's only 6, I believe.
Wow. And it's a miniseries, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. But I'm expecting a Chris Evans cameo where Falcon or Bucky either like need a pep talk and they go to Steve and he helps them, he like talks them through their problem in a way that only Captain America would be able to do.
I thought the implication was that he's dead at this point.
He's not dead.
I don't think he's dead. I think he's just really old.
He's old.
Is this what Steve would have wanted?
But so here's the thing. I think they're basically kind of treating Steve as dead because in terms of like the rest of the world, Steve died at the same time as Tony Stark did because he never came back and he kind of stayed in the past. He came back and gave Sam the shield, but it didn't look like he was dead or ready to die. So I think he might still just be living out the remainder of his life under, an alias. He is still there, though, is kind of what I picture. I don't think that Steve Rogers is actually dead right now.
So when I was doing my prep work for this episode, I did see something that said that I can't remember if it was the director, producer, or someone that was involved in the film said that episode 5 would have a surprise character in it.
Interesting.
So that's a ways away. But yeah. I'm wondering.
That'd be funny.
Especially that really seems like a good time for the Cap to come up because episode 6 is obviously going to be the final episode, final encounter. You get the pep talk from your mentor and then go.
Yeah. I wonder if it could be something like that where we get the real Cap, Steve Rogers in that old man makeup suit again. Or if we got something to a future upcoming Marvel property.
Or it could be Vision.
Vision? I mean, there's so many it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be.
Because that kind of loops in all of both of the TV series going into the next series of movies.
I'd love to see this be just like something to throw us off the trail, and they just end up having like Frank Oz voicing Yoda, like a puppeteer like doing Yoda on the sidewalk. Like that'd be hilarious to me.
Maybe it
Surprise guest star.
Maybe it might be like more X-Men cameo type stuff because they had Evan Peters in WandaVision. Josh is asleep.
No, I'm awake. I'm just trying to think of who it could be.
I don't know.
mean, I want it to be John Krasinski as Reed Richards, but I
Yeah.
wanted that, and
That was such a. I know we're talking about WandaVision now, but what a letdown that was. They built up
I
the
know.
astrophysicist for like a
Dude.
few episodes and nothing.
Yeah, it was a letdown, big time.
That entire show, yeah.
Did I not
Yeah.
warn you?
I
know, you
said
did.
that too.
You actually did. Yeah.
I was also the one who said that Quicksilver's cameo was just a cameo. It didn't mean anything more. So,
Yeah, and you're right there too.
but yeah,
Oh,
I'm excited for next week. I know that it probably isn't the same. I know that early in WandaVision, everybody was like excited for the next episode, but for me, WandaVision, there were sometimes I would forget that an episode came out until like that night. Mando, I would watch religiously,
Yeah,
like
Mando.
every morning as soon as I could. And I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier is kind of the same way, where it's like on my lunch breaks, I'm making sure I get lunch from somewhere close, so that way I have enough time to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier.
yeah, right.
I'm not putting it off. I'm not like I'll watch this when I get home. It's like I want to watch this now. Nobody bother me. My boss, I
It's
love
really
my
funny.
boss. He's great. I get along with him super well. But there's sometimes he just comes back and talks to me while I'm on lunch, and I'm like, not now, Dave. I want to watch TV.
Yeah.
It's really funny because I'm having like the opposite experience.
Really.
When we did, obviously Mandalorian, we watched religiously.
Mm-hmm.
WandaVision though, like when we were those first few episodes, we were like all as a family getting down, sitting together, watching it. Falcon Winter Soldier, we did it for the first episode, and then everybody is like, okay, we'll just watch it on your own. Like, I thought this was gonna be our family thing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I actually ended up watching it like at 11 o'clock one night because I forgot completely.
Wow. Yeah.
So, this is because we're wrapping this up. One show that you guys, I'd like you guys to at least watch the first episode of is Resident Alien with Alan Tudyk. I know that you'll find it funny, and you can get it for free on Peacock. So if you download Peacock,
sponsored.
Peacock is free, and you can watch it there for free. And it's a new show, so the new episodes are still coming out.
Cool.
So
And Alan Tudyk.
yeah, Alan Tudyk. I mean, Chase, Alan Tudyk. It's
I
the
know.
only reason you want to watch.
I know.
You wanted to watch the Cassian Andor
Yeah,
one.
what a disappointment that show's gonna be.
So
I'll still
I think
watch it.
that's it. But
I think so.
yeah. So next week at 7 o'clock, we're going to be doing the same thing, live streaming about episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified when we go live. Leave a thumbs up if you can. And also, when I said subscribe, I mean it. Our data shows that only about 25% of our viewers are actually subscribed. So the 75% of you that are watching this right now are not subscribed. So please subscribe. It'd mean the world to us. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I have poor circulation.